I'm live. Here we go. So I'm going to pretty much get straight into it today. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Frankie's Aquatics right here with the glowing glasses right here on the wonderful platform that is YouTube. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. I'm actually going to have a little bit at the end of this video where I actually get a chance to talk to you guys. But what I want to do today is get straight into the video, because every time I seem to do a live, I always end up saying, I won't keep you long, and then I keep you forever. So I can only apologise. I just get talking with everybody, and I quite enjoy these lives for that reason. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to basically talk about the video, talk about what I'm doing, and then we're going to have a little bit of time at the end where I'm going to read through your comments and speak back to many of you, if there is many of you that are going to be here. But I hope so. So this week's video is going to be based around, a lot of people ask me some really not basic questions, but questions that tend to get overlooked about what you can use and what you can't use, and should you have an aquarium lid, shouldn't you have an aquarium lid. So I thought today I'd kind of do a live and just discuss it with you. So the first big question is, do you have lids on your tanks? Now, as you can probably see, this one hasn't got a lid. No, it has got a lid. I've just borrowed it for the video. It's down here for reference. But yes, all of my tanks, although it might not appear very obvious, they do have lids. I mean, that's not got axolotls in that one. But these ones are the axolotl tanks, and they've all got lids. That's got goldfish in it. They've all got lids. These have got glass sliding lids at the bottom, and these have got makeshift lids that I've made myself. So to answer a quick question very quickly, axolotls do require a lid. Now, some people will go, but I've kept axolotls. I've never had any jump out. I've been fine. I've been keeping them for years and I've had no jumpers. I don't think you need a lid. It's the way I answer people back like that is, it's a bit like driving a car. By law, at least here in the UK, you have to wear your seatbelt. Now, let's say you're a bit naughty and you don't wear your seatbelt and you drive along. You've been driving for 20 plus years and you've never had an accident. And you turn around and say, look, I've been driving 20 years. I haven't got my seatbelt on. I'm all right, until you have a crash and go flying out the windscreen. Its point of being, it's best to have it than not have it. So when it comes to aquarium lids, it is definitely best and very much advised to have them. Although axolotls don't tend to actually jump, a lot of people, they just jump out of the water. What they do is they swim around, and when they have them at half an hour, what they'll do is they'll swim along the tank, they'll get to the corner of the tank, realise they can't go any further, so they go up. And that is how you get them, where they go. I've never had a jumper myself. I'm going to put these down. I know I'm meant to wear them, but that the reflection's doing me in, to be honest. So I'm going to pop them down and carry on. Don't tell me off. If my mum's watching, she'll tell me right off, she will. So it's best to have a lid than it is not. Now, obviously, most of your standard aquariums that you buy automatically come with lids anyway. So they come with lids like this. These big things. Now, this is it's a nice lid, to be fair. And they obviously have, most of them, not all of them, have built-in aquarium lights as well. Now, the reason I don't use these, a lot of people said that look a lot better on your tank than what you're using. It probably would visually, but unfortunately, a lot of these lights that are placed in there do produce a little bit of heat. Now, not a great deal of heat, but unfortunately, heat nevertheless. And what tends to happen, you have that set in your aquarium, you have your light on when you're in the evening, let's say, for a few hours, and what will happen is the heat will recuperate. It will build up in the lid. And then before you know it, you're going to have a few degrees in a heat spike that obviously axolotls won't appreciate. So that is why, after many years of experimenting, why I don't use these particular lids. I'm not saying don't use them. They are great lids. They do have good ventilation, but I do find that the heat that does build does tend to stay in the hood of the lid itself. Now, I do want to say something about these. I used these for several years and they are great. Just bear in mind that axolotls don't like bright lights, so these lights that they put in them are not too great for them because they are quite bright. There is a little trick you can do. You can probably see I've already done it here, actually. The little trick that you can do to obviously make it a bit safer and a bit more friendly for your axolotl. Now, if you're using this for your fish or a community tank, whatever else it might be, you're absolutely fine to use the light. If you're using it for your axolotl, again, they're very delicate to bright light. So what you have to do, or at least this is what I do, as you can probably see, that's got the back of the light facing downward. So the light itself, if we give it a little twizzle, is actually facing the wrong way. Now what that does is it dims it down. Now obviously you can buy canopies, you can buy little like shades that you put over. Tia's having a mad moment in the background, chasing a tail, apologise for that. But obviously they produce a lot of light. So what I do just to compensate that is I unscrew it there and I just gently twiddle the light round like that. It's perfectly safe, tried and tested by yours truly, and it will absolutely make a huge difference to how bright that light is inside of your aquarium. Although these are really nice and they come with a little on-off switch for convenience, they don't have any kind of dimmer on them. This is why I don't use these. Anyway, swiftly moving on. So what I use instead is this stuff. There's going to be a really basic name for this, but this is a little bit plastic. A lot of people have it over here. They make it in greenhouses and stuff. I believe it's the roof that they use for the greenhouses and other kind of basic garden essentials. Now you can buy this in massive sheets and you can buy it relatively cheap, or at least you can here in the UK. And then the beauty of it is easy to clean. It does its job. It's a bit weighty, to be honest with you. And there is different densities of plastic that you can buy. Obviously, you can get it heavy, you can get it lighter. This is about medium weight. There's a bit of weight to it, so it stays where I want it to be. And I can cut it down perfectly to wherever I require it for my aquarium. So this one here actually comes off the tank that you can see just there. And although on the videos you might not directly see the lids, they've all got these lids. Minus that one because it's here. But these are really good. Now, just bear in mind, these are an absolute nightmare to cut. I'm not going to lie to you. As you can probably see, it's not exactly the straightest cut you'll ever see. So this little bit goes at the back where no one can see it. But they are relatively cheap. They'll keep your axolotl in if he does have a little bit of a mad moment and try to swim out of the aquarium. And they don't take, they're not an eyesore either. When I very first got them home and I was starting to cut them, I was a bit like, oh, is it going to look a little bit ugly? It's going to look a little bit off, isn't it? But to be fair, it really doesn't. And they're really cheap, inexpensive. And you can pretty much pick them up anywhere. So yeah, they're definitely worth a few quid that I paid. Like I said, I bought this in a big sheet. I cut this one and the one that you see just there, from the same sheet. And I think it cost me something like 4 quid. So about $8, something around that mark. It's really good. Really good indeed. Now, obviously, there's many other things you can do. You can obviously use wire mesh. You can get that mesh sheeting that you get. Although a lot of people use it for terrariums and stuff like that. You can obviously do that. Chop it down to wherever you need it to be. Buy a plastic frame that's actually designed for it and place it on the top. Just bear in mind, you do want to have a little bit of airflow if you can. Hence why, that's what I'm using. Hence why I've gone for more of a rounded edge rather than a flat edge. I want a little bit of airflow being able to come through. If someone tunes in now, they think I've gone crazy. But this is why I do this. It's not a completely flat piece of plastic, so I want a little bit of ventilation to circulate around the tank. And obviously produce nice airflow in the process. So when you are using wire mesh, just make sure it's of a reasonable density. Just make sure airflow can obviously get through the wire mesh is what I'm trying to say. My words are not doing very good today, are they? Not doing very good at all. Now, what do I say to the people that say, like I said in the beginning, oh, I've been doing it for years, I've had axolotls, I've kept numerous tanks, I don't use any sort of lids, and I've never had a jumper. That's great. I'm really happy that's been the case, but I'd rather take the precautions rather than wake up one morning to find your axolotl on the floor, obviously not done too well overnight after jumping out of the tank. What you can do though, if you don't want to have a lid, for whatever reason, you just don't fancy a lid, you can drop the water down in the tank. So for example, let's just say we're just, again, I like the pointing thing here, but let's just say we're focusing on this tank. Rather than fill it right to the top like I tend to do, I'd probably drop it down a couple of inches, about 5 or so inches, about there. So then basically, if they do have a mad moment swimming about and they do decide to thrash up the side, it doesn't eliminate the chances of it happening, but it definitely I'm right, aren't I? I'm second guessing myself here. It will lessen the chance of them flying out the top is what I'm trying to say. Gonna fuel up 1 second, give me a sec, jeez. These lives take it out of me, I tell you. So yes, the lids are essential. If anybody asks, do I really need a lid? I always say yeah. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Again, going back to the old seatbelt when someone's knocking my door. This is live telly for you. 1 moment. Oh, it's a delivery. Oh dear, not like live TV, is there? It's an Amazon delivery. Timing on that, eh? Impeccable. Oh dear, where was I? So yeah, going back to the seatbelt scenario, that's a story I like to use. Yes, you can drive along safe and happy as Larry for 20 plus years without your seatbelt on, but that one moment that you do have that bump or that crash, if you're lucky enough to live it, you wish you'd have had your seatbelt on. Why play it risky? Why risk it? Why risk it for a biscuit? That's what I say. Definitely have your lids firmly in place. Oh, a bit of a breath. This is going right out the window, this one, isn't it? So just to reiterate what I've said in the previous videos before, we're going to look at a few things that a lot of people always ask. What are the few little things that make your life keeping axolotls a little bit easier? What helps you? What helps you save money? What helps you speed up the process of what you're doing? What little things can we do? What tips would you give us? So that's why we're going to look at these little things I've got here. Like I said, I have mentioned most of these products before, and I'm not in any way endorsed by the companies that I'm promoting here. This is just me being the axolotl keeper, giving you guys sound and solid advice in the process. Tia is sat right next to me. She looks really, really cute. Should give her a little microphone. Should give her the sound man or sound woman. So the first one, everybody's favourite. The good old turkey baster. I've sung this thing's praises more times than I care to count. And before I kept axolotls, I wouldn't even know on earth this were. I know it's kind of in the name, turkey baster. So you baste a turkey with it. But I wouldn't have known otherwise. But these things are great because you can go in there the moment you see a poo in there or a little bit of uneaten food or a little bit of just general dirtiness or mess. You can go in there and away it goes. Straight away. Doesn't affect your cycle. Doesn't affect any kind of unbalance in your water, and you can get in there nice and quickly and it will absolutely do what it needs to do and help clean up. It's almost like a hoover. Have a little hoover for your tank. So they are an absolute godsend, to be perfectly honest. I'm a bit obsessed with these. For some reason, a few months ago, these were really hard to get hold of in the UK. I have no reason as to why. I don't know if it was the lockdown. I don't know if everyone was just like, we need more turkey basters. But these were a blooming nightmare to get hold of. So much so I couldn't even get them off Amazon. They were just nowhere to be found. So I've got this little habit now. Whenever I go out shopping and I go down the kitchen aisle, if you ever see any of these, I buy them all. I literally buy every single one of them. I've got, look, not even joking, look. Drumsticks. I've got so many of them. So there's a shortage in the UK. It's technically my fault. I'm contributing to the problem. It's a bit like the toilet roll hiatus all over again, but it's turkey basters this time. But yeah, I do swear by them. The reason I buy a few, I don't buy them all. Well, the reason I buy quite a few at a time is, unfortunately, over time they do kind of wear out, especially if you use them as much as I do. Because obviously they come apart, so you can clean them. But this bit tends to wear. And over time, it loses its suction and becomes a little bit useless. So I've completely broke that one. So I'll just pretend that never happened and we'll look at this one instead. So yes, I absolutely recommend a turkey baster. Really cheap. You can get them from the dollar store, the pound shop, whatever you want to call it. They're very, very cheap if you can find them. But they're absolutely essential. I say it's like the lightsaber for fish keepers, or in this case, axolotl keepers. You can go in there, you can scoop out the poop without causing any trouble. Really, really good. Next product, swiftly moving on, is of course a thermometer. This is actually an infrared thermometer. It's got a nice little laser on it, a laser, which is really cool. Again, fairly inexpensive, although again, I have noticed a crazy little price hike with these just recently. I was looking at buying another one, so I've got one upstairs and one downstairs. But for whatever reason, they just chucked the price up on them to like double the price. That's why they're called him Terry Tibbs, apparently. Don't know if many of you will get that, but there we go. I've thrown it out there now anyway. So yeah, this was about 12 quid, 12 pounds, something around there. Fairly inexpensive. I'll be honest with you, it drinks batteries though. It really does drink the juice on the batteries. But the reason I like these is you haven't got to sit there dipping. You haven't got to sit there looking at the little thermometers like this. You can literally go up to your tank. You can flash it on your tank like this, and it will give you an accurate reading. As simple as this. So I always recommend these, and they're really good fun. And the truth be told, if anybody's got these out there, the chances are you've gone around checking everything's temperature. You've gone around pointing it at the dog. How are you today, Tia? 28, not too bad. You go to the fridge and see what your fridge is doing. When you're at the cooker, you'll be checking the temperature of your cooker. They're quite good fun. So that's probably why The batteries don't last very long for me because I'm just always going around with it. But they're really handy to have. Really good. Again, fairly inexpensive, although there is a bit of a price hike at the moment. I think it was when everyone was panicking about feeling sick, with the whole pandemic thing. I think a lot of people just running around buying all the thermometers they possibly could. Is that just a UK thing? Or is that a global thing? I don't know. But these things are really good. So definitely have one of these. Because if we all know that we always need to keep an eye on those temperatures, and this is by far the most quickest and convenient way of doing so. I'm not going to throw this, I'm going to learn from my past mistake. I'm going to put this down nicely. Next product. So this is something I absolutely swear by. It's a bit like having a medikit for humans. So you always have like a few plasters in there, maybe a bit of antibacterial cream or something. Well, this stuff is by API and it's called Melafix. It's basically, all it is, it's a very rich extract of tea. So it's extracted from tea trees, not the leaf. I believe it actually comes from the tree itself rather than the leaf, where most people source the extract from the leaf. This actually comes from the tree. I might be wrong. I might be barking up the wrong tree completely there, but I'm pretty sure. I know it's of a high concentrate, so you don't need a lot of it. For example, I don't know if you can see, there's a tiny little groove in the lid there. Can you see that very, very, very small groove? It holds next to no liquid at all. I think it holds, if you have my glasses on, I'll be able to see this. It holds something like, I think it's like 2 mil, if that. And that dose is 10 litres plus of water. So you don't need to use a lot of it. Really good stuff, really good for fungus. Obviously temperature control is really important with that factor too, but it's really good for treating fungus. It's good for treating any kind of skin blemishes, any kind of issues, any soreness, and anything really, any bumps, cuts, grazes. It'll absolutely help speed up the process in healing. Again, not endorsed or sponsored by API whatsoever. It's just a really good trusted product that I know and trust. I prefer this to any kind of tea bath. A lot of people like to use tea baths. Again, I'm only speaking from personal preference. I personally do not like to go anywhere near salt with my axolotls. I think it's a little bit abrasive is the word. And I think it's a little bit harsh for their skin, whereas this is a much smoother and a much safer formula. Again, from that's my own point of view. I'm not saying you shouldn't use salt. I personally just don't, and I choose to use this. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive than your average aquarium salt, granted. I think I paid something like £8. So £8 for this little bottle, but it does last. It will last you a while, and it smells quite lovely as well. I've got a thing for sniffing things, haven't I, me? But it's a bit strong. Woo. But it is, it is nice. It's very nice. Give you a headache if you smell it though. Shouldn't really sniff that on YouTube, should I? Don't sniff it. It's not that nice actually, come to think of it. Not very nice at all. Right, and the last one is kind of an obvious one, but this is a little bit of a tip saver. A money saver. As a little tip for a money saver. This is something I use. So most people ask me what conditioner I always recommend. And I always recommend Seachem Prime. You're going to shout at me now, won't you, if I've pronounced that? Because I believe it's called Seachem Prime, but I call it Seachem Prime. And this stuff is wonderful. This is its little cousin, shall we say, known as Seachem Safe. Now, this stuff is great. I got a really... Sorry. I'll make sense in a sec. This stuff is great, but it stinks. Same as Seachem, it hums. It'll make your hair fall out. Take it from me. It's horrible. It smells like fart in a jar. It really does. There's no nice way of putting it. It's rotten. Now, keeping it at arm's length. I use this because obviously I have to do various water changes every day. I keep a lot of axolotl, a lot of rescues, a lot of babies that I've produced, and obviously I use this. Now, what a lot of people don't like about this, Jesus, woo, is it stinks. No, it's not that. It's really hard to work out how much to use. You only need a very small sprinkle for a large quantity of water. So that's what scares a lot of people off with this. But I've got a little trick. I haven't learnt it myself. I actually got this tip from Aquarium Co-op. Corey, that's his name, isn't it? Aquarium Co-op, yeah. I actually learnt it from his channel. It's an old video. I'll actually link it in my description when I've uploaded this video after I've done the live. This stuff is fantastic because what you can do is you can portion it out and mix it yourself in a pre-mixed bottle and work out roughly how many squirts per whatever you're using of this. It will make sense when you see the video. So I use this. It's a lot cheaper. I've had this now for 4 months, and I'm going to regret this. Well, not even halfway down. If this was smell-o-vision, you'd all be running. Woo! I'm going to gently put that back on and pretend that never happened. My goodness. So yeah, it's good stuff. It just stinks. And like I said, it's for me who does it on this kind of large scale that I'm doing it on, it's an absolute money saver. The amount of Seachem Prime I was getting through was bonkers. I was buying it in those massive ginormous bottles, which aren't cheap, or at least they're not here in the UK. And I was just rinsing through it. I was getting through about 4 bottles a month. It was crazy. Whereas this stuff, I can pre-mix. The only thing is, it doesn't... Cheers to you. She just sat on my foot. I was wondering what it were. The thing is with this is you can't... It doesn't keep. So let's say I make a massive quantity of it. It won't keep. The day after, it's kind of gone off. It hasn't got the stabilizers in it, I believe. I think that's what Seachem said themselves. It hasn't got the stabilizers to kind of maintain its purpose in water. As soon as you mix it with water, you've kind of got to use it that day. So I make up a fresh batch of this every day, which might seem a little bit wasteful, but when you consider you only use a little sprinkle of this in a bottle, it's actually it's a money saver. It's a winner chicken dinner. It's good stuff. It really is good stuff. I'm going to bring Tia on in a minute. She's just constantly looking up at me from just down here. I think she can probably smell this, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, stop rambling. Seachem Safe is just as good as Seachem Prime, as long as you're using it instantly. Yes. And I think that is about it for all my little gadgets and gizmos today. So I'm going to put my goggles on, and I'm going to try and have a look at the comments. So here we go. Firstly, thank you all for the feedback in regards to the last lives. I wasn't quite sure if people were enjoying them. I'm going to give up completely with those. I just have to squint at you instead. So I've decided to do lives rather than have gaps in my YouTube channel. A lot of people says, yeah, do the live, because sometimes your weeks just get busy and I haven't recorded nearly enough footage or whatever, camera time to actually release a video. So I kind of go, oh God, this week's going to be a nightmare trying to get a video out. So rather than do that and have gaps in my uploads, I'm going to just do a live whenever I can't actually make a video. So they won't be too frequently, but they'll be frequent enough for me to kind of catch up with you guys and catch in with you. So there's a lot of people saying hello. So hello to Sean. Cressy's in. How you doing? Kimberly, how you doing? Riley, how you doing? I should have named one of my kids Riley. Riley O'Reilly it'd have been. That'd have been a beautiful name. Sean, hey from me and Amber, how you doing? Of course, how you both keeping? You both doing good? Are you allowed to take a light out or not plug the lid in? Yes, absolutely. You could definitely do that. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get the lid again. So yeah, these will absolutely click out. So obviously you've got the wire. The light just kind of pulls out like so. So technically, yes, you can just remove it. Why didn't I think of that? Now, the reason I didn't do this is because I use dimmer lights, which I have on my rack rather than my tank. So on each shelf here, I've got 1, 2, I think it's 2 or 3 on each shelf. And they've got dimmer lights that I worked on a timer. And basically, I have the lights off most of the time anyway. I only have it on like for doing videos and stuff like that, and sometimes in the evening. Let's have a little look. Where do you buy the plastic sheet, Frankie? What do you use to cut them? So this stuff, yeah, you can pick this up at any hardware shop. So in the UK, I got mine from B&Q. I think I paid £4 for a ginormous sheet of it. I actually had to cut it in half to bring it back home. It was that big. So it's relatively inexpensive, very easy to find. It's an absolute nightmare to cut. I'm not going to lie to you, but it is a bugger. The best thing that I found is if you've got a hose pipe or something, as you're cutting it, preferably with a handsaw rather than a saw, because you'll crack it and you'll split it all over the place. Get yourself a decent handsaw and have someone gently squirt water Not at you, because that would just be rotten, but at the actual bit that you're cutting. And then what will happen is it will keep the temperature nice and cool. So in theory, the plastic won't split and splinter. I get my words out there in the end. A lot of people saying hello, so we'll say hello to Billie Jean. I love it. Hello, I've got an axolotl myself, and she's my pride and joy. That's from Billie Jean. Fantastic. I'm really glad to hear it. Jake's Fish. Is that a Blackmore behind you? Yes, it is. Yes, this little chap here. He's lovely. He's lovely. Sarah says, I've been doing tons of research, prepping for my axolotl, and you have been extremely helpful. My favourite. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you so much for jumping in and supporting the channel. Ice Gotcha, is it? Has said, I hide my temp gun from my husband. He wanted it for his tractors. They are really good, and do you know what's good about them is, again, they don't cost the earth, but they're really accurate as well. At least this one is. I can't speak for any other brand. I mean, this isn't a particular brand, or I can't seem to find any kind of. Oh no, Helect. Never heard of them. This is just an Helect one, and we've got a decent cooker that you can literally dial into the temperature that you want it, and it will dial into the actual percent. And this it reads it absolutely spot on. So there's no kind of give either. Whereas I find those little ones that you pop in your tanks, sometimes they get a little bit with their readings. They're not overly accurate, shall we say. Right, how are your axolotls? Ouch, standing on the plug. They're doing fantastic. I've got some really exciting news to share with you all. I'm just waiting for the right time to kind of announce. Got you all thinking now, haven't I? The Panda Man, are you good? I am very well, thank you. How about yourself? How's the axolotls doing? Great. Paige Thompson Designs, thank you so much for all your help. Sharon and Ozzy, it is Sharon, isn't it? Yep, Sharon and Ozzy happily eating in their own corners now. Fantastic. Really glad. I love getting feedback like that, because a lot of people think I'm pulling the wool when I say you can actually train your axolotls to feed where you want them to feed. Believe me, they're not silly. They're very intelligent, and if you just persevere with them, they'll have you around your little finger. That's my index finger. That's my little finger. They'll have you wrapped around the little finger. They're incredible, and they're very intelligent. Do you add Melafix stuff on each water change, or just for issues? Good question. I use it just for issues. So basically, like I just said, it's a very high concentrate, so you don't need a lot of it. I do find it better whenever you're treating, whenever axolotl, usually rescues that come my way, usually have some sort of either scarring that's kind of a little bit sore and kind of a little bit problematic, or they might have a few gill issues. That's when I turn to this stuff. I feel like it should be bigger. It just seems so minute. It's like, oh, I can sit it on my shoulder. Really good stuff. Again, really inexpensive within reason. And it's just really good to have on hand, really, even if you never need to use it. Let's say you buy yourself a bottle of this and it just sits on top of your rack next to your aquarium and you never have to use it. That's great, but it's always nice to have it rather than to not. You'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. There we go. So it's really good stuff. So this is just basically, just use this as and when I need to. I don't add it to every water change. I don't think that'll be any beneficial kind of reason for doing that, to be honest. Obviously, I treat my axolotls outside of their aquariums or whatever it might be, and I do find this stuff works really effective if you use it with an air stone as well. I think it just helps circulate the medication more evenly, and you get better results a lot quicker. Right, gonna try and just grab a few comments as I go, really. Oh, Wayne's in. How you doing? That's a good point. I'm gonna actually announce something in a minute, Wayne. So do stick around. You just literally just refreshed my memory of it, to be honest. You pretty much know what I'm going to say, but the others don't. I use water bottles in Michigan. I couldn't imagine Australia. We're talking about temperature. Oh, I don't like the heat, mate. Don't like it. I'm going to take this off, actually. I'm a bit warm. I prefer to be cold. Thankfully, being a UKer, being a Brit, it is fairly cold over here. So we don't really have too many problems with temperature. We do have really random heat waves, probably once or twice a year, where the temperatures just get constantly testing. And I have done a video on this too, but I just find water changes, nice cold water changes, do massively play a huge part in the survival of the hot weeks. Let's put it that way. Hello there again from South Florida. Enjoying your channel. That's from Tracy. That's from Tracy. Is it Sanchez? I don't know why I went high pitched there, but thank you very much for jumping in and supporting the channel. It's lovely to see you back here. Right. Brand says, I picked up my second axolotl. People didn't take great care of it, so I bought it and now I care. Why is it disappearing? And now I take care of it, but he has no feelers. Do they grow back? Because I have him 2 months and they didn't grow yet. Do you mean feet? Or do you mean, let me know. But just to kind of gently kind of skim over, answer that question, they should grow back as long as the problem area where he's having hasn't been nipped at too aggressively. If we're talking about little titsy toesies, I said titsies, bit rude. Tootsie toesies, oh, I'm doing it today, aren't I? Then they will grow back. Unfortunately, they don't continuously grow back, but a lot of people seem to get confused with. They will, once an area's been nipped out on several occasions, unfortunately, they will show signs of kind of stubbing off rather than growing. I guess it's on an axolotl to axolotl basis, to be honest, from experience anyway. Rabbi Pork Chop says, bless you, Frank, nice job on the live stream. Mind your mum and wear your specs. I know, I should wear them. You know what I'm not wearing them for, don't you? I'll show you. I'll put them on now, look, just see how long it takes to happen. I'm a big guy. You know what's going to happen, don't you? They're going to steam up. Look, see? I've got my rosy cheeks on and the glasses are going already, look. I can't keep up with them. I do wear them most of the time, to be honest, because I kind of have to. But while I'm doing this live, no, not today. I got an albino for 35. People are talking prices here. Another quick one. If you want to talk about axolotl availability, that's anything from rescues to ones that I produce myself, then the best, I'm doing it in 2 different ways now. The best place to contact me is either over on Instagram, which is at Frankie's Aquatics, or via email, which is frankiesaquaticsuk@gmail.com. They're the best places to kind of get hold of me. But just if you are emailing, because my email is dreadful, all I ask of you is just give a brief description of what you're talking about in the header, in the subject. Not header. I used to work in the media. I've got old habits. Just put a brief description of what you're talking about in the header. I did it again in the description, and I know what you're talking about. My axolotl. This is from Billie Jean again. My axolotl always knows when it's feeding time. She comes to the surface and floats at the top. With her little expectant eyes. They do. They're so adorable. I love reading these stories. They really do. They're so cute. Pixel is the cream of the crop for me, shall I say. I had an absolute nightmare the other day. It came in from being out after doing a little bit of shopping, and she was kind of in a really weird position. She was like in between her hide and her jaw, and she was kind of like, and I thought she was stuck. So I came in, and she's the first little one I look at when I come into the room. I was like, all right, Spud, what are you doing down there? And I tapped the glass gently, because normally she's straight down, and she didn't move. And I thought, well, that's not good. And I was like, okay, and I panicked. I'll be honest with you, I absolutely panicked, because she's always there to greet me. I put my stuff straight down, straight in there. And as soon as I moved anything in the tank, she was straight there, like, well, what do you want? What's the matter? What's all the fuss? I was like, oh, don't do that to me. Don't ever do that to me again. Because you really, honestly, she nearly gave me a heart attack. I don't know what I'd done. I'd have been broken. I really would have been broken. But yeah, she's absolutely fine. She is, she's a troublemaker, that one, let me tell you. I don't think it helps that they have no eyelids. So when they're sleeping, you don't know they're sleeping. Right, I'm going to wrap this up very soon. I'm just going to quickly grab a few more of your comments. I do apologise for obviously not being able to answer them all. But I'm going to grab the ones that are kind of jump out at me. Whisker Sister is in. How you doing? Hey Frankie, hope you're well. Daughter in the chat, so I will let her fill me in later doing housework. Oh, okay, so your daughter's watching. She'll give you the updates, no problem. You look good in glasses. Thank you very much. Who's that from? That's the Panda Man. Thank you. I don't mind them so much. I'll be honest with you. It took a little bit of getting used to. And they told me off for not wearing them all the time I needed to wear them. They're like, you've got to wear your glasses. And I was like, oh, hello. I don't mind them. It's just, I don't know. It's going to be a love-hate relationship, I think. I do definitely benefit from wearing them, though. I tell you that much. Oh, Cheryl Bishop. Hey, Cheryl, how you doing? Nice to see you in here. She says, clean your glasses with washing up liquid to stop them from steaming up. That's a very smart idea. Why haven't I thought of that? Because I do that. Because obviously I shave my head. I'm going a little bit bald now, but I've always had a shaved head since I can remember. And I normally shave my head while I'm in the shower. So what I use on the mirror, the steam-free mirror, not a steam-free mirror, is I use a little bit of soap on that and I give it a bit of a rinse down and wash it off and no steam comes back. So why didn't I think of that? Very good idea though, so thank you for sharing that with us. I would definitely give that a go. If it goes in my eyes, I'm blaming you. Debbie's life said, I totally wish you shipped to the US. I really wish I could. If there was some way I could do it, then I would absolutely love to do it. The only thing I could do is use a transshipper or deliver myself, which is quite the trip. Although I have given it some thought in the future, the very, very distant future, to kind of do quarterly drop-offs in certain places of the world. I get so much interest from people in the US. So it is something I've definitely considered at the very least. Pandaman is Pixel good. Pixel is amazing. She's just an absolute sweet. I really wish, I don't wish. I nickname her Miss Piggy because she's always the one that gets the extra worm at the end of the feeding. If I go around on a feed and I've always got a few left over, I'll kind of try and distribute them out fairly. And then Pixel will be like, hello, don't mind me, I'll just look over here. And I'm like, oh, go on then, Pixel. And she'll always get the extra worm. And I think her curves kind of validate that story as well. Debbie's life, can we get a quick look at everyone behind you before you go? Unfortunately not, because you're attached to a tripod that's actually attached to my wall. So without making an absolute pig's ear of it, there's no real easy way of doing it, unfortunately. However, go and follow me over on Instagram if you don't already, because I will be uploading a few things later on today over on there. But yeah, Miss Biggie, I like that. Anyway, I think that's about it for today. Any more comments or questions, just throw them in really quickly now. I'll try my best to answer them before I go. But just before I do go, thank you all so much for supporting the channel. But an extra special, massive shout out, thank you to my Patreons. I don't quite believe you guys understand how much you actually shape and evolve this channel. Every subscriber, every like, even the ones that like to do that, because I guarantee there'll be someone that's done that on this live. I guarantee you someone don't like the face. I don't know what it's about, but there we go. All the likes, all the love, it really helps the channel grow and it really helps the channel evolve. It really does. It gives me, it makes the stage bigger. A simple share on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it might be, for anything that you might find useful that I post. You sharing that can help me reach a bigger audience than I could ever do on my own. I would literally be talking to myself without you. So a huge thank you to every single one of you. A massively huge thank you to my patrons. You are absolute legends and I absolutely adore you all. I'm sorry I've been a little bit scarce as well in the old chat. We've got a Discord chat that we all kind of keep up and have a bit of a laugh on. And it's my favourite place to go. It used to be, a few years ago, it used to be Twitter. And I go to see what's trending in the morning and have a bit of a read of that. Whereas now I go over to my Patreon and I go to my Discord chat and I open up that and I always try and get myself involved, unless I kind of come in mid-conversation and I kind of sit back and I kind of spectate for a minute just in case I don't know what's going on. But it's a great bunch. We're a great bunch over there. And I think we've actually started something quite special in regards to building a community. And I think that's what it's all about. It's all about building a community and building bridges in the right direction. So thank you all so much for supporting. Anyway, quick glimpse of the comments before I click off. Do you? Oh, someone says, love the Viking beard. Thank you very much. I used to have, I'm sure there's pictures out there, just a beard here. I didn't have any of this. I just had this really weird, I don't know what you'd call it, a mistake, clearly. And now I have a full beard, which I'm very proud of. So thank you very much for noticing. I hope he gets popular. You're talking about the channel. I hope so. I really do. I'm working very hard at it anyway. Right. I think he may need another discussion. This is from Alicia Sackett Freeman. I think he may need another discussion on the do's and don'ts of tank mates of the same and other species. Way too many people try to pair them with inappropriate tank mates. Very good suggestion. A very, very good suggestion. I've got a bit of a whiteboard going on upstairs with ideas that people throw at me. So if you've got any video ideas, do feel free to send them me. I'm all ears. I'm always listening. So I'll happily try and cater to the videos that you guys want to see. And obviously in the process of that, I will update videos as and when I feel need updating as well. I won't leave you all with really old videos on there. If you are just starting out, would you recommend just getting one? Oh, that's vanished. Where's that gone? Right, let me try and find that comment, because that was a good question. That was, 1 second. So Sarah, I think it was Sarah Newman. Give me a moment just to quickly have a look. So Sarah Newman says, if you're just starting out, would you recommend just getting one? Does getting more than one change things? It absolutely does, because the chances are if you're going to get two, you're not going to be too familiar if you've got a male or a female. And if you happen to have a male and a female and they get to a certain age, the monkey business will begin, and you'll have loads of eggs on your hands before you know it. They don't care if they're related either. I need to have a word with them about that, but they don't care if they're brother and sister. It's all about the love, apparently. So you will end up with, obviously, thousands of eggs on your hands. So yeah, it is probably smarter to have one. And if you do want to have two, and you've got the reasonable tank size, and you've got everything else kind of ironed out later on down the line, you can obviously buy one that matches the sex of what you've got. So if you've already got a female, you can buy another female. If you've already got a male, you can obviously buy another male. It does make sense to have. I mean, people do buy them in pairs. I do give people the heads up, and I do kind of warn people the do's and don'ts of pairing. But it is definitely something you've got to kind of think of logically and sensibly. I can only advise. It's up to the person if they want to take that advice on board. Jake's Fish. How do I join Patreon? I've not done it before, but you deserve it. Thank you very much, Jake. There will be links in the below. That bit down there. There will be links down there to go and have a look. But by all means, do have a look on a previous video, and you'll find all the information in the description of that video. Oh, somebody else is in. Who's this? Is it Anissa? Is that how you pronounce your name? Probably butchering the name there. I do apologise. Says, oh my God, hi. Can you hear me screaming? I can't. I'm worried. Why are you screaming? What's up? What's going on? Are you all right? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I just love his channel. Thank you. I thought something was going on there. I was a bit concerned. If I had a panic button, then I'd have pressed it. I'm telling you. Oh dear. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and supported. It means an awful lot. So thank you. Can males mate with two females? Absolutely. They absolutely can. Very informative. Thank you so much. Right, on that note, I am going to bounce off because I have been 45 minutes. I'm not good at these short videos, am I? I'm not good at all. But thanks again for jumping in and supporting. Love you all dearly, and I mean that. And you meant to say it back when someone says love you. It hurts if you don't. But I love you all very much. Do take care, and I'll catch up with you all next week. Toodly-doo.